Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Be Honest podcast. Welcome back to part 2 with Sue. We had you on not too long ago, and we left off wanting to know more about you. We're gonna be raw here. So your cheating background, your self growth journey, the obstacles you and Ash have faced, and your journey with self discovery. There's just a lot to unpack. When
Yeah.
me and you were on the phone the other day, or sending voice memos, I was like, this girl needs to write a book. Like,
I should. Definitely in the future.
in the future, it's coming.
It's coming.
So you post a lot of clips about your background, the things that you have learned, and like the bad decisions you have made in the past. And I first want to acknowledge that the things we are going to talk about in this episode are very personal to you. So I applaud you for being so honest and raw about everything, because it takes a lot to be able to acknowledge and own up to certain things. So I applaud you for that. And I'm ready to jump in. Let's start with the cheating background. I feel like that is very interesting. So first, we're going to kind of touch on that. I'm going to ask you about your past with cheating, but before we just totally jump into like your experiences with that, can you define what cheating is like in your own eyes? Like everyone perceives it differently. So how would you describe cheating to someone?
Okay, that's very good way to start. Cheating for me can either be done emotionally, entertaining another person. Usually it's emotionally or sexually, or the actual action, the sexual action, which would be sex.
Okay, so emotionally and physically.
Yeah, and what hurts the most for me is the emotional one.
You know what's so interesting? I have like always heard that. I don't know, like I've been cheated on before, like in the past, and like luckily they didn't ever fully like have sex with the person. It was more of like an emotional thing, and like it hurt, but in my brain I'm like, I'm happy that that person didn't have sex with that person, because I feel like it would hurt more. I don't know,
Well,
but
yeah.
then sorry.
No, sorry, I'm interrupting. Emotions plus sex is double as bad. But
Yeah.
if it's just you were drunk and then you had sex with a random person, like a one night stand, there was no emotion there.
Yeah.
That's to me not fine, but it hurts way less than you were romantically saying I love you and like building a relationship and then you had sex. It's no longer just sex. It's like an intimate experience that's beyond sex. And that is what hurts more.
Yeah, that's true. It's the fact that they were capable, like they were emotionally capable of building a emotional relationship with that person. Like, cuz the sex is like, we're humans, we can have sex with people and like just move on. Like it's not a big deal. But emotionally, it's like, damn, like you emotionally connected with that person. That's deeper. So now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It
Yeah,
makes
right?
sense. Yeah. Would you say that there's one, or I was about to say, is there one worse than the other? But you just said it, the emotional. And you would say it's the emotional infidelity is worse because it's like deeper?
I haven't really sat down and analyzed why, for me, that's my experience.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do that because I think that'd be a very good reel for me to make for my Instagram. It's very interesting. Yeah, I think it's because, and this is just coming out raw without me doing any like deep work.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody else can have your heart hurts more
Yeah.
than your body.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's more of like you were emotionally able to have a connection with this person rather than just like a sexual, like one time thing where it doesn't mean anything, but like an emotional connection is so much deeper.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the more like whenever you do deep dive in this, it's going to be like your response is going to be so much deeper and it's going to be amazing. So I'm excited to see this
Yeah.
reel.
I'm rattling that. Maybe I'll do a series on the 10 reasons or the 5, 12, 30 reasons why I cheated. I don't know. That'd be a really good one, or something
Yeah.
to do with cheating.
Yeah.
They love it. My cheating
Yeah.
videos, They eat it up.
They do. It's
Have
because you're
all the cheaters in my DMs.
it's because you're so raw and you're just so open. So people are like, okay, like she's number one calling herself out, but she's also like talking about like I don't know, you just talk about all aspects of like you don't just think of one aspect, you think of like all of them. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean. That's actually a problem I'm having right now. I'm trying to niche down so when I do a video, it's just this one topic, but it's so easy for me to go like all over the place with it. So I'm working on being more laser focused.
I get that. I understand. I understand. Okay, so you posted a video about how you used to be a cheater. In the clip, you mentioned how you cheated back, but when we were on the phone, you came to the realization you were like, oh, maybe I cheated first. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
So, what was going on in your life at the time, physically and emotionally, and why did you do it? And I know that's like a broad statement, so you can
Mhm.
like tell the story. You can like go in.
Yeah. So where I was in my life, I was a teenager. I think I was 16. And as we talked in the previous episode, I was very consumed in the fast life, drugs, alcohol, in a very dangerous amount. And that was my lifestyle. And within this lifestyle, I met this one woman, and her name was Alex. And I was so obsessed with her. I at that time, I had I've never had a girlfriend. So I was awkward. I didn't know how to approach a woman, especially a woman that would only make out with me when we were on ecstasy.
Yep.
So, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't have the personality, the backbone to ask if she's interested in me or in women. I would just have the courage to make out with her when I was on ecstasy. And that's why I like drugs. It's because I was able to be this person that I wasn't able to be when I was sober, or at least that I thought I couldn't be. And anyways, I crushed on this girl for a while. I ended up meeting a new girl and making her my girlfriend. I think she made me her girlfriend. Anyways, and then this Alex girl was jealous, and she called me one day and she explained to me how she just wants to talk to me. And I think she might have mentioned that she has feelings for me. But at that point, I already had a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So basically, I hung out with her. And when we hung out, it was me, her, and my other friend. And we went to this house where there was more drugs and there was a party. And she basically jumps on me and says, "You have no idea what a real woman is like," and proceeds to make out with me. And I'm just taking it all in, obviously. But in a way, like, I obviously I felt guilty, like I'm not supposed to be doing this because clearly I'm in a committed relationship with another woman. But I also found that attractive, the fact that she was so dominating and I'm gonna take what I want, and like the I don't care attitude. Um, and so I hooked up with her, and I woke up the next morning feeling horrible. It was this stereo silence the next morning. I don't think we even talked on the ride home. And that was the first time I cheated. Hmm.
Okay, so you felt guilty afterwards. So did you end up telling your girlfriend, your girlfriend at the time? Did you end up telling her or did you keep it a secret? Like how did that happen?
I kept it a secret for 2 years. The next morning or the next day when I went back to high school, I was going to tell her. I built up the courage. I'm like, I'm going to tell her that I cheated on her. But when I saw her, it tore me apart. I couldn't, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the courage, didn't have the backbone. I was very cowardly back then. And that just wasn't in me. And instead of telling her, my eyes just teared up. And she even asked me, like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I just have something in my eye." But I was really not fine. And I felt horrible and sick that I had done something so betrayed. Like I was betrayed her, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I this is what's toxic about doing that. Not only is it immoral, right, to do that, but the other end of the stick that people don't talk about is holding on to something that heavy diminished me. It
Mm-hmm.
made me accept things that I normally wouldn't accept. I accepted being treated horribly by the same woman because I deserved it. And that's what I would tell myself. Well, I am a cheater. I cheated on her. She doesn't even know. I deserve it. And that was the background to everything in that relationship. I felt like I deserved all of this,
Oh.
even though she didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Mentally, you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I can only imagine. So, how did you find out that she cheated on you? And when she cheated on you, you said that like you internalized it as like I deserve it, but did you ever get upset at her? Or was it more of like an internalized thing where you're just like I'm just going to keep my mouth shut?
Oh no, I was in a very, very vulnerable place when I found out that she cheated on me. I had been sent away to rehab in South America. I had no friends. I only had my father. I was in rehab. I felt very lonely. I had no one to really talk to. And the only thing I really had was my relationship with her. And I remember clearly I was just on my computer back then. Facebook was cool, so I was on Facebook. And I get this message from this random girl I've never even met or heard of. And she basically tells me, I don't know you, but I need you to know that your girlfriend is seeing her ex. Like they're meeting up in person and seeing her, and she's seeing her ex. And that literally broke me apart. Like it was so soul crushing to me, especially because of the circumstances. I mean, we were in a long distance relationship. And then I was in the middle of rehab on top of that. And then I'm getting cheated on. So that was the first time I found out. And the way I reacted is I was very unhealed back then. I was very childish. I didn't understand or didn't know how to communicate without being passive aggressive. I couldn't say things, I couldn't really say what I meant. So that's how I approached it with her. I basically told her that she needs to tell me right now because I know, you know?
Yeah.
And she obviously tried to play stupid, like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, you need to tell me right now because I know. Long story short, I think she ended up confessing to it. And how I reacted in that moment was I told her that she wasn't allowed to tell me that she loved me because I didn't believe her.
So, sorry, I was like thinking. So, do you feel like so whenever you cheated on her, did you love her?
That's a good question. I've really thought deeply a while ago, not recently. Can you cheat on someone that you love? And I remember when I thought about it, I thought yes, you can. Um, but now I don't think I agree with that anymore.
Yeah,
I don't think I
I
agree.
agree. I agree with that. I don't think people can cheat on someone they truly love. Like I feel like you can have love for someone, but like you don't cheat on someone that you are so deeply passionately in love with.
Mm-hmm. I
You know what
agree.
I mean?
Yeah.
So when you told her, "Don't tell me you love me," um what was mentally going through your mind because you knew that you cheated as well? So were you like, "Oh, I feel like a hypocrite," or were you just like, "No, fuck this girl"?
Yeah. I honestly, me cheating, it wasn't there like, in my thoughts. I think it was something more subconscious.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't think of, oh, well, I cheated. It wasn't that type of thought pattern. It was just underlying there in my subconscious mind. Um, I just thought I was just hurt. I was like, F you, you don't love me, but I still wanted to be with her. And I think back then, I really wanted to believe that she loved me. Like, I would literally read books about love, try to find the meaning to love. Like, what is love? I was obsessed with the word love. And now that I can look back and reflect and I've had more relationships, like you're completely right. Love, I used to think was just a feeling, but it's not just a feeling. It's not even a feeling. It's an action. It might start with feelings, but what makes love stay is when the feelings end, all you see and all you have are actions. And that's what love really is. It's action. So I thought, well, she still loves me or I still love her because even though she cheated on me, I still have this like strong feelings for her and I confuse those feelings for love, but it wasn't love.
That's like the hardest thing. I literally had this conversation with my partner. I don't
Mhm.
remember why, but she was like, I think she just straight up asked me, do you think love is just a choice? And I was like, at first I was like, or no, she goes, is love a feeling? Is love only a feeling? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And then I started to think about it and I was like, well, honestly, I feel like it's both because you have to choose this person every single day. You know what I mean? Like you have to, the actions have to show. You have to, you know what I mean? And so it's a very interesting topic,
Yeah,
honestly.
I
And
think that love can start as a feeling, but I
yeah,
don't think love is a feeling. It's
yeah,
an action. It's
yeah,
how you show up when those feelings are gone.
yeah,
Because feelings are they're easy. There's no work to be done when you feel something for someone. There's
yeah.
no effort really in those feelings. I think that real love shows up when there's effort, when you do something that you don't want to do, right? When you're there for them when it's not fun.
Hmm.
That's love.
Yep. It's choosing. It's waking up and choosing that person every day and
Yeah.
the actions. Exactly what you said. Okay, so you found out homegirl cheated on you. And it's like a totally different type of cheat than what you did. I'm not like trying to compare the two,
I
but
know, I know.
she had a full-on relationship with this person, right?
So I got cheated on by her like 3 times, I think.
And you stayed, obviously.
I stayed.
And whenever she was cheating, were you also cheating?
The first time I was not cheating. I was in rehab. There was nobody there to cheat with. Not that I liked, at least. Yeah.
No,
I
no,
was in
no, I
Peru.
know,
I was in Peru.
but like once you got out of rehab,
Yeah, so I
obviously.
got out of rehab. I was there for maybe a year, maybe I think 9, 8 months, and I was allowed to go back to the USA, and of course, her and I got back together, and right when we got back together and I moved back to the US, I find out it's really blurry for me, but I don't know which one came first, whether I cheated first or it was that I found out that that she like while I was in Peru towards the end, plus while I was back and got back with her, and she like looked for me. She went like she did all these things that I thought were love. Like she went and I wasn't allowed to talk to her. She went and like messaged me from a private profile and like did all these like crazy things. And I'm like, oh my god, this woman loves me, but she was literally having a relationship with another man, a different guy, not her ex. This is a new guy, and I didn't find out till like 3 months later.
That's so interesting that she's full on having a relationship with somebody else, but actively pursuing you.
Suing me.
It's
Uh-huh.
so strange how the brain works. Okay. Girl, your story, I'm telling you, you need to make a book. You need to write a book. I'm like
Work
trying to keep up with it. Okay. Okay, so okay, anyways, we don't have to focus on this. So y'all ended up breaking up
No,
eventually.
I don't remember. I found out she was cheating on me. I forgot how it was through Facebook.
Yeah.
Through like we were arguing in a comment or I forgot what happened. I like commented on something and then this guy that she was dating was like, "Well, I'm dating your girlfriend." And then I was like, that's how I found out. Like really in a really ghetto, humiliating way on Facebook.
That is ghetto.
Yeah.
That's so I'm assuming the girl that you were with was also playing the dude because I'm assuming the dude had no idea who you were. That's why he commented.
Most everybody knew except for me. He knew. So when I confronted her and she was like, "Well, don't worry. He knows that you're my number one priority and that you're my girlfriend." I'm like,
You're like,
"So
is
he's
this?
in on this." Yeah, he's in
Yeah.
on this. So I guess he told me because they got in a fight or something like that. So then he, to piss her off, went and told me of what they had been doing behind my back. It was some weird thing like that. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. And I remember on the phone you mentioned something, and I'm sorry if this has nothing to do with this person,
Okay.
but you mentioned something about a party and you getting revenge. Is this person?
Yeah, same
Okay.
people. It wasn't a party though. The party was her birthday, and that's when I first met this guy as her friend. I didn't know they were secretly dating. Everybody there knew except me, and that was very humiliating because when I found out later through Facebook, uh, I realized like I was the only person that didn't know that you guys were doing this. Even he knew. I didn't even know. So that was very demonizing, not the word, for me, and humiliating. And it just like, it was a whole different level of pain.
Yeah,
But
and the fact that everyone knew but you.
mhm,
Like you were at this birthday party, you said, and everyone knew. So you're just there like thinking you're there for your girlfriend.
yep,
And the dude that she's cheating on you with was there.
yep,
That's crazy. And then
ridiculous, right?
you find out later on. That's crazy.
Yeah, find out later.
It's so crazy.
It
Okay,
is.
and then the revenge.
The revenge happened. I can't remember if they had broken up or not. The thing is that this guy was attracted to me too, and he was trying to, or he was flirting with me, and I was telling her, I was like, this guy that you say that you want, or that you want so bad, is literally flirting with me. And I would send her a screenshot of it, trying to prove to her that he doesn't love you like I love you, and like you're a loser for choosing this idiot over me. That's like the energy I had back then. Which is silly because I shouldn't even be in this
Yeah.
scenario. I should just would have walked out. I should have walked out. But instead, like I told you over the phone, I was very vindictive back then. I was angry. I was hurt. It came from a very weak spot where I wanted revenge. And I think that revenge comes from a place of not feeling worthy and needing to go after like validation in such a evil way. And what I did was I started having sex with that guy, and then I made him my boyfriend.
Girl, like
And
you said, I'm going all in.
I'm going all in, and I wanted her to know. Like, she needed to see this. And she did. I made sure that I knew where she hung out. I walked, it was this mall. I went to the mall, and she caught us. It was not by accident, it was all by design.
Yeah.
And she freaks out. Like, her face, she couldn't believe. It's like she saw God, you know? Or more like not God, the devil. She couldn't believe what she was seeing, and she couldn't even look at me. And she went off on him, just like yelling at him, cussing him out. Even like I think she pulled his hair. I don't even know. It was crazy. And that's what I literally went that far.
Oh my goodness.
I
So
wanted her to feel pain, you know, how she made me feel pain.
yeah, no, and that's so human. And like I said from the jump, I applaud you for being so honest because people would just try to sugarcoat it. But it's true.
Mhm.
When people get cheated on, they go through all types of emotions, and you were feeling anger at this time, and
Mhm.
you were like, revenge, I need my revenge. And revenge and anger, they go hand in hand with one
Mhm.
another. So I get it, I understand. It's
Yeah.
normal, it's okay to say that. Like, I might have done the same thing.
Yeah.
If it was a possibility,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So when you were doing that, what were you hoping to get out of the situation? Were you just kind of, were you like, I just want to make this girl mad? Or were you like, I want her back? Like, what was going through your brain?
I wanted her to feel my pain. I wanted her to be hurt the way I was. I wanted also to prove to her that this guy doesn't care about you. This guy that you ruined our relationship, our 2-year relationship for, doesn't give a rip about you because now he's with me. Because if he did, he'd be fighting for you, not here with me,
Yeah.
you know? So that's what I wanted, and that's what I got. And I don't know if I was satisfied, you know? I don't think it did anything, to be quite frank. I think that I just put myself in uncomfortable situations, having sex with someone that I wasn't even into, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I wasn't into him like that, not emotionally, not in any other way. Mhm.
So were you and this girl done with at this time?
I honestly, no, we weren't done. We dated again.
Girl.
I know, that's how bad I was.
No, there's no judgment. I get it. I get it. It's just, your story is very intriguing. I mean, hence the reason why you're on this podcast.
Yeah.
So after this situation happens, she's pissed, but you guys eventually start dating again. So how
I
did
can't
that?
even tell you how because I don't remember. All I know for a fact that that me with that guy happened before I broke up with her once and for all. So
Okay.
it must have happened
Okay.
before I broke up with her.
Okay. Okay. So you guys date again, whatever, and then you guys break up for sure later on down the road.
Yeah. It's so human because it's so human to confuse chaos for passion. And I confused all this chaos for this like deep love that was never love to begin with. But it did feel intense. And that's what I called love back then because that's all I knew. That's all I had, to be quite frank. I didn't have any other representation or experience of love. And if I did, I would think it wasn't because it was boring, you know?
It's so true. I had this conversation with someone. I forgot who it was. It was someone on my podcast. Maybe it was you. I don't know. But I was talking about how toxic relationships are always the most like passionate ones. And maybe passionate isn't the right word. It's the most like exciting. And that's what makes people so addicted to toxic relationships because the highs are so amazing. So then when the lows are super low, you want to get back up to that high. I think I'm explaining
Yeah.
that
No,
correctly.
it's like being in a desert without water. Any drop feels like heaven.
Yeah. Yep. So I understand why you kept going back because it was such a toxic relationship. And it was like, you cheated, she would cheat. So then when she cheated, you were like, oh my God, I need her attention back. I want her back. Like I need, you know what I mean? So I get it, girl. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then you guys broke up and then did you start dating someone else after that?
No, I'm the type of person that when I am really into someone, that's all I have eyes for until I'm over it. And usually it doesn't happen fast.
Yeah.
So I was never seeing anybody else. She came back to me and wanted to be with me. And I believe that's when I told her, now that I'm remembering, she looked for me like she always does. I'm attracted to women, or I was attracted to women that do that. And she did that. She's a Leo. She went after me again and probably apologized, begged for us to start dating again. And I told her, I cheated on you 2 years ago. I just needed to get that out of my chest. And she said, I don't care. And that was very, it's funny. You would think I'd be like, phew, thank God. I've been holding on to this for so many years, but it wasn't, my experience wasn't like that. And it was even shocking to me. It was disappointing that she didn't care because I made it mean so much that I cheated on her. I carried this weight for years, and for her to just brush it off like that, I made it mean that she didn't care about me, which
Yeah.
obviously she didn't if you look back, you know?
No, yeah. I was kind of viewing it as like, yes, you hearing her be like, I don't care. It's kind of like, well, that kind of sucks because this is a really big deal to me. Like, it should be a big deal to you. But I can also see it as like growth because I feel like, and I might not be making sense here. This is just what my brain is thinking. I feel like when you were in the depths of the toxicity with her, if you were to have came out and been like, hey, I cheated, and she would have been like, that's fine, let's just move on, you'd probably be like, oh my God, thank God, okay, let's just move on. But you were at the point where you were like, I'm done, right? You were at the point.
No, that wasn't where I was done yet. No. There's more.
Girl,
I
okay,
know.
okay, so there was not growth
I was in
there.
high school. I had nothing better to do but get involved in this relationship.
I'm like, this is growth, and you were like, no, I went back to her.
I was not growing. No, even when I broke up with her, it didn't come from a place of growth. I was not any. There's no growth in my life in this phase.
It's okay, it's
Yeah,
okay. Okay, so you ended up taking her back. When was it done? When
it
was
was
like
finally done. That was the last time we ever took each other back. And the
okay.
next time, everything was fine. Everything was peaceful. And one day, I wake up and I literally woke up with the thought, why am I still dating this girl? Like, what? She's cheated on me, like all these things. Like, why am like, what am I doing? And it was weird. I just texted her, and I was in college back then, and I was like, hey, we need to talk when I'm done with my college class. And I think she knew. And I broke up with her.
And
I
did
said,
she try to pursue you?
you know what's funny? I just had this flashback. I told her, I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you. That's exactly the words that I said to her. And she was crying and she said, are you sure about that? Like, she was trying to make sure. She didn't want me to break up with her. She's like, because if you make this choice, I'm not coming after you. And I said I was sure. And I literally was crying. And when I started crying, I just ran away. Like, I literally ran out of the house. And it's funny that I think back because I'm doing a lot of, as you know, deep reflections. I'm working on a reel right now about is love just a feeling? That's literally what I'm working on. It'll be up tomorrow.
Okay.
It's funny that I fell out of love all of a sudden when there was no more chaos in that relationship.
You were bored.
I was bored. I never once saw it that way until literally right now. I just had that realization. As soon as she stopped cheating, everything was calm and perfect. I wake up one day like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you're like, she's treating me right. I'm
Yeah.
bored. Like, I need more excitement.
Yeah, but it's funny because I didn't think of it like that. Like it comes disguised in a way. It comes as we grew apart. It comes as um I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes off as like we just fell out of love. Like we've been together for a while and we just kind of fell out of love. But in reality, which that's obviously, I mean, okay, so I feel like you did fall out of love with her. I feel like you did, right?
I fell out of love with her.
Oh,
I think that because she wasn't being toxic and there was no anxiety there that I get to confuse with butterflies, there was no adrenaline rush. I called it that I fell out of love. But really, if I really loved her, I would have tried to reignite the passion. I would have tried to reignite whatever it is that we need to make this work.
hmm.
That's love, is when you work together to be fulfilled, whatever that looks like for you. Is it the spark? Is it the sex? I wasn't willing to do any of that. I'm like, you're no longer the one because all these feelings that I confuse for love are not there anymore.
Do you feel like there's a saying that says like if you love them, let them go? Do you think how do you feel about that saying?
I love that saying, but not in the way that you think, probably.
Okay, so elaborate.
Okay, so if you love them, let them go. I understood that for the first time when I was in love with this other woman I dated. Also, an unhealthy relationship of 7 years on and off. I loved
Crazy.
her so much, like, but now that I think of it, it was the same cycle as my first girlfriend. It was that roller coaster that we talk about. It was a toxic relationship where I confused anxiety for butterflies, where I got off to the crumbs she gave me because I was starving the whole time because she would barely give me any attention. She'd ghost me. She'd come back when she'd feel like it. And that cycle was on and off for years. And when she finally moved to my city, because she was living outside the US, she was Russian, she broke up with me. you know, we waited 7 years to finally be together, did long distance, and then she moves and it all ends. So I, for the first time, fought and realized like I actually was love. I fought for her on the phone when she was trying to break up with me. I told her I don't want to break up. Like I I would call that begging normally. Like I could never, the old me could never do that. And I fought for her over the phone. I tried to convince her. And when she said no, like this is what she needs to do for herself, and I was crying on the phone, it was basically, I didn't say F you, but I was angry and I was mad. And I had a conversation with one of my life coaches because I love life coaches and all that stuff. And I'm crying on the phone like I'm a mess. I don't think I've ever been this level of a mess. I call him. His name was Jeff, and I tell him what happened. He's like, hold on, Sue. What is love to you? And I was like, love. Love to me is basically like I want her to be happy no matter what. And he's like, no matter what, right? And I like have this like outer body experience where I'm not being the no matter what. I'm being I only am happy and love you if you choose to be with me.
Yeah.
And if you're not choosing me, so I'm going to be angry, I'm going to be bitter, I wish you never find somebody else, I hope you're single for the rest, like, all that energy. So I called her, I picked up the phone, I called her, and I told her, I'm going to choose this breakup like it's my choice because I love you. And if this is what makes you happy, then I'm choosing this. So that quote, if you love them, let them go. I feel like people don't hear that. People hear like, if they're toxic, let them go and they'll come back. It's not a toxic thing. It's like genuinely, if you love them, out of love, let them go. Like not anger, not resentment, not like plotting a revenge. Like no, genuinely, like I want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. And that gave me so much freedom and so much power. And there was no suffering there for me after that breakup. Like literally, it was like this. I didn't suffer anymore.
Yeah, because it's also like, because I was kind of in a situation, not exactly like yours, obviously, but I was with someone for a while and they decided to break up with me. They weren't choosing me anymore. And I had the mindset where I was like, screw you, you're not choosing me, like this isn't love, like
Yeah.
all of yeah, I wish you were single forever, like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
so mean, like all of those things. But then I had to step back and I was like, number one, like I'm the best thing they're ever gonna have, like period. So if they're not choosing me, I can't beg them. And I did. Like I did in the beginning, of course. Like when the person was trying to break up with me, I would say, I was like, please, like let's make this work, please. Like I will do anything. Like I feel like everyone has been there before. There's no shame in that. But after the person was like, no, I can't. It was like, okay. And I had to take a step back. I was pissed. But then after a while, it was like, they're not choosing me. So like why would I beg for someone that's not choosing me? But also just because they didn't choose me, my love didn't just go away. So like I love them so much. And for some reason, if they believe that their life is better without me, then I need to let them go because they're obviously not choosing me because they don't think I'm a fit in their life. Like I'm not a little puzzle piece in their life anymore, which is so hard to wrap your mind around. I remember when I was going through my breakup, I was like, why am I not like why can't I fit into her life?
Yeah,
Like why
literally.
But then it's also like there's so much that goes into that breakup though cuz it was like so much cuz it's like it wasn't me. It was just we either grew apart or whatever it was. But it's really crazy that saying. I was kind of iffy about it as well, but then whenever I went through that breakup, I'm like, yeah, you really just got to let them go,
Yep.
You really do. So,
Yeah. That's
I
thanks for
understand.
sharing that. I can tell there's a lot there for you with that breakup. I'd love to pick your brain about it.
You can
You were
pick my
definitely
brain if you want, but it's a lot. It's a lot, girl, and we will be here for
yeah.
a while. But
Yeah.
the beauty of breakups is you just learn so much. You just learn
We
so
should
much
have a
about your
series about like breakup series, and everybody comes on and talks about like their biggest breakup.
You mean like me or you? You should do that.
No, because I don't have a podcast, so I can't have like different people.
No, I mean like you can still probably find a way to do that. I feel like you should totally do that since you're so
You do that. I'm not doing that.
like do it.
Yeah.
Since you're with Ash, um the cheating has obviously stopped in your life.
Yeah.
So when was the moment you realized you just couldn't do that anymore? And when was the moment you were like, why am I in these toxic relationships? And why am I in these relationships where I'm cheating or they're cheating?
Yeah. It didn't happen that directly. I started healing myself. And one of the results of healing myself was not taking those actions. Because when I wasn't healed and I wouldn't get the attraction or attention from the person that I was dating, instead of having a conversation about it, which I couldn't have back then because I couldn't be vulnerable. I was not present in my being back then. I would look for that attention somewhere else. I would entertain somebody else. Not because I wanted them emotionally, not even because I wanted them physically, but because they would give me something. It was an illusion because what I really wanted, I wanted from that person. I didn't want it from them. But there was this like fake power that I got from it. I
Hmm.
got off to the fact that somebody else wanted me so much because the person I wanted could care less. At least that's how it felt
I
for
was
me.
just about to say that you don't feel wanted in the relationship that you're in, so you're like, other people are gonna want me.
Yeah, exactly. So I needed to feel powerful. It was all from a lack of power and I was craving this power. And I was powerless in my relationships. And not because of them. Like I want to be clear that my partners were never the issue. Even though, yeah, my first girlfriend did cheat on me. Fine. Doesn't mean I have to be a cheater or keep cheating, right? It was an internal issue, not her issue as to why I kept cheating. It was something to do with my inner self where I couldn't communicate. I made it mean something about me. I just couldn't have a direct conversation and express my needs. Instead, I would look for it in somebody else. And that's basically what made me a cheater. And I cheated a lot. I wouldn't say I was a serial cheater, but I
Yeah.
cheated a lot. It was my escape. It was my way to gain back this power that wasn't even real. Because I only felt like literal shit after. I felt gross. I'm having sex with people that I'm not even emotionally attracted to. Um, so how did I heal that? Well, it started with personal development, but I didn't go in there because I'm a cheater. I went in
Yeah.
there because I started personal development when I was probably 27 or 28. I was with my long term girlfriend that we were doing long distance. I was doing long distance with. And that relationship broke me in different ways. Um, One of the times where she disappeared, ghosted me, I was having a hard time working. Back then, I was a dominatrix and I couldn't get into the headspace. And I was filming and it was very hard for me. I was just breaking down and crying, and that never happens. I never let my personal life get into my work life. And I called someone because I needed to vent. I needed to like share whatever, get it out of me because I held it in for so long. And what he said was, "You need to sign up." I'm like, "Sign up to what?" He's like, "Trust me. Give me your credit card right now." And this is a guy I met once, okay? For some reason, I felt compelled to call him, okay? And he's like, "Give me your credit card. I'm going to sign you up to the Landmark Forum." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Is this going to help me?" He's like, "I promise you, this is going to help you." And I was so desperate. I'm like, "I'll do anything." I gave him my credit card. He signed me up. And then in the month of like October, I was in the Landmark Forum. And that right there is what transformed who I was as a human being. I was actually able to create who I wanted to be in this world versus how I ended up being in this world. And that's where I stopped cheating. I stopped cheating. Um, I was just a different person. So that's the root to everything, was that Landmark Forum that I did.
So the landmark form is what started your self-growth journey.
Like seriously, no joke, no kidding.
So
I've
is
read
it like,
self-help books. Don't get me wrong. I read so many self-help books. And yeah, they did help me, but not at this level.
so was it like an online course, or like do you have to go in? Like how does that work? It's called Landmark Forum?
Yep, it's a yeah Landmark Forum. So back then they were all in person, but then COVID happened and they became online. But some places still offer in person. It's just rarer to do it in person. Basically, it's a 3 day. Let's call it a seminar, but it's a forum, and you go in there and they take whatever's in your way out of your way. And those things that are in your way, they call them blind spots. You know how, for example, a lot of people know how to lose weight, but they can't lose it. There's something in their blind spot there. So they get you to see your blind spots in life.
Yeah.
And that's where my veil was literally uncovered. And I saw my life not for what I want it to be, but for what it really was. And it was ugly. I realized how inauthentic I had been all of my life, what a coward I was, my lack of responsibility for things I've done to others, and to myself. And it's not like something you watch and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like it's a good idea. No, you do it. You get to work on your life right there and there. I had to make calls that second. So I think that's why the forum is so effective.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds effective. And I've
Yeah.
never heard of Landmark Forum. Like, I've never heard of it. And guys, this isn't like a paid thing. Like, it's not. But yeah, I've never heard of that. And that's really cool. Yeah, I can tell that I want to say like you are a completely different human, but you know, I don't want to say that because obviously I didn't know you back in the day, but
Yeah.
you seem like you have grown. So I know this is a loaded question, but what are the main events in your life that the Landmark Forum helped you realize? You were like, those are the events. Like, this is what happened to me. And it made you realize, like, okay, I needed to change. Like, are there any specific events that the Landmark Forum was like, this event made you this way? You get what I'm saying? I know that's a loaded question. I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The first thing that came to my mind was my mom. Back back then, I had no relationship with my mom. It was a very superficial relationship. Yeah, I saw her on the weekends. We talked, but it was very superficial. My mom didn't know I was a lesbian. I hadn't come out to her yet. She didn't know I was a dominatrix. She didn't know I had a girlfriend for 6 years. My mom didn't know me because I wouldn't let her know me. And I thought I just didn't care about my mom. I thought that I was numb. And back then, numbness to me, I made it mean that it doesn't affect me. I don't care. But I've learned that numbness is just an experience you have when you are feeling too much. And I
Hmm.
literally thought I didn't care about my mom. I would tell my girlfriend at the time like my mom could die tomorrow and I wouldn't even shed a tear. And it's crazy to think that because I love my mom. Like and I think I always have, but now she's my best friend. So it's crazy to me to think that I thought that way back then.
Well, it sounds
Anyway,
like anyway, it sounds like you had a lot of resentment towards her.
I did. I had a lot of resentment. I made things mean things that weren't necessarily the truth. And I realized why I had these like rose no, these like I realized why I like the root to all this.
Yeah?
And in the Landmark Forum. What I realized that is that when I was little, probably like 5 or 6, I everybody in my school had Lunchables. Like everybody had Lunchables. Their parents would buy them Lunchables, and I would have like boiled eggs, you know. And I really wanted Lunchables. And I remember being at Ralph's with my mom, and I told my mom, "Mom, can you buy me Lunchables?" And I was pointing to the Lunchables, and she said, "No, I can't afford that." And at the time, my mom was a single mom. She worked 2 jobs, and I was an ignorant kid. I didn't know better. But at that moment of my life, I made it mean that my mom's not good enough. And because she's not good enough to buy me this because she can't afford it, then I must not be good enough. And I spent all my life never wanting to be like my mom. I was disgusted by my mom. I didn't want anybody to see me with her. I didn't want her to come to my school reunions, whatever your parents come to when you're a kid, because I was embarrassed by her. And I couldn't see how much she loved me with those glasses that I was wearing. And I carried those glasses for years. And I found new evidence to make that first claim that a 6-year-old made truer or true.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was in the Landmark Forum where I realized all of that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think in the part one that we had, you kind of talked about your relationship with your mom and like her beliefs and stuff like that, which kind of caused you to be hesitant and all that stuff. But what you just described, yeah, it was your own little brain interpreting something that was completely false, which made you have a view of your mom that was not true. And like for years you felt that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ugly, but that's what we do as humans. We make things mean something. Somebody likes your picture, you make it mean something. If they don't, you make it mean something. It's just a human condition. And if anybody knows how to stop that, let me know. But since we're little, we do that. We make little things mean things, and those things shape our life and the context of how we view people and things and situations. I didn't understand that until I entered the Landmark Forum.
Yeah.
And now I understood. I understood that, and I finally saw my mother for who she really was. And she was someone who loved me, who take care of me, who was working 2 jobs to be able to afford healthy food. She didn't want to buy me Lunchables because they're processed.
Yeah, your mom's like, girl,
And
no.
she'd rather buy me a whole chicken, you know? So, yeah, it was just mind blowing what I was able to uncover about myself and what I made things. I was living my life through an 8-year old eyes.
Yeah. It's funny. I kind of had the same not experience. It's not the same experience, but whenever I was younger, everyone in elementary school had like those ramen bags, you know, like those ramen bags, and you'd crunch up the noodles and you'd put the
Yep.
seasoning. Okay.
Yeah.
Horrible for you. No nutritious benefits at
Yep.
all, nothing. And all of my friends had them and I was like, "Mom, come on, like, can I please have some? Like, can you please put them in my lunchbox so I can eat them?" Like, everyone was eating them. And my mom, like, she kept putting her foot down. She was like, "No, no, like, it literally is, it's not going to help you at all. Like, you were at school for 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
You need nutritious foods. Like, you don't need all that processed stuff." And in the back of
Yeah.
my brain, I'm like all of my friends are gonna think I'm like a loser, or like my mom just doesn't get it, and it made me like be mad at her. But I was mad at her for like a month and then I was over it. That's why I'm saying like the experience is different, but like I understand how in
Yeah.
your brain you were like, she doesn't love me, or she doesn't, my mom doesn't care for me because she's not giving me a Lunchable, you know.
Yeah.
It was kind of
Yeah.
along the same thing.
Yeah. It was deeper. It was like she's not like not worthy. She's not good enough because she can't afford it. She said I can't afford it. So I'm like, oh, she's not good enough because she can't afford this. Like everybody else has it, so she must be less.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting as a little kid
Yeah.
to
And it's funny because my relationship with money, that was one of the roots of it. I That's why I'm a workaholic. I never wanted to be like my mother. And I would do things that didn't align with how she ended up. It was all subconscious, obviously.
yeah.
I hated the color orange. I wanted to have a lot of money, all these things that just like rolled my life subconsciously from that one little incident that I had when I was a child.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, what personal values or principles do you have now that you did not have in the past? I know you just said like you're a workaholic, but like deeper.
Okay. Wow. So I would say that being authentic is a huge value for me.
Mhm.
Authenticity is everything. I would not have the life that I have today if I weren't authentic.
If you weren't on Instagram talking your shit, outing yourself,
Yeah.
I mean, you'd probably still be loved because, you know, just I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
who you are.
I'd
But
be love for anything on Instagram, honestly.
I just feel like, yeah, you literally embody authenticity and people see that. Like I said, I
Hmm.
keep saying it. Like a lot of people wouldn't go on Instagram and be like, I used to cheat and let's talk about it. You know what I mean?
It's
But
true.
you're like, let's talk about it. And I love it because you're normalizing like let's acknowledge these things, you
Mhm.
know?
Authenticity and integrity, those two things are the backbone to my life. Authenticity has given me freedom, has given me actual power, not control. Um, Authenticity has given me like authentic relationships, like real relationships, not fake ones. Has given back. Authenticity has also given me my relationship with my mom, my dad, my brother, my fiance. I mean, I wouldn't be able to have a woman like Ash if I didn't have authenticity as a core value and integrity. So, integrity to me is your word,
Mhm.
doing what you said you're going to do.
Mhm.
And if you don't do it, you restore it with that person. Because integrity is not about being perfect. It's not about if I say I'll be here at 5 and I'm not at 5, not there at 5. It's not about that. It's about if I say I'm going to be somewhere and I know I'm not going to be there at 5, but I'm going to be there at 5:20, I pick up the phone and I let them know. I'm restoring my word because without your word, you're nothing. And we live in a world where people's word is negotiable. And if you think about it, and this is the forum part 2, because there's like 2 parts to it, we live in a domain of language. This chair wouldn't be a chair without language. It would just be nothing, right? Everything is from language, derives from language. If you believe in God, the first thing in the Bible, what was the line?
Girl, I
First
don't know.
came the word, something like that.
I don't know.
I don't know. First came the word, something like that. I'm not religious, but everything in we live in a domain of language. So if your words mean nothing, you mean nothing. And I practice integrity every day. Mm-hmm.
I think that's my biggest pet peeve is when someone, like, for example, me, I hate being late. I hate it. But if I am, I will let the people know. I'll be like, hey, I am sorry. I'm running behind. I fully aware that we planned for 6 o'clock. I'm going to be 15 minutes late. I'm sorry. Like, I will make sure that they know. And I think my biggest pet peeve is when someone is late, or I don't know, they didn't follow through with something and they just don't speak about it. I'm like, just own up to it. Like, just if you were to just be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I forgot about this." Like, like I'm so sorry. I know we planned this. It slipped my brain. Let me make it up to you and let's, like, whatever. I'm like, heard. This person acknowledges it. But if it's like no one wants to talk about it and then I'm the one that has to be like, "Hey," it makes me question your integrity and, like, your morals, because I'm like, I don't like that, like, so I get that. I think that's a really big one. I think that's a really big one.
Yeah, and I also would like to add, like, integrity isn't about adding how you feel about it,
Yeah.
because when you add how you feel about it, you're adding an excuse to it. Like, you're some, like, powerless person that you couldn't make it on time, which you're not. So
Yeah.
when I say restoring yourself, you take away the feeling, like the feelings or the explanations about it.
And you just own up to it.
You just own up to it. I said I was going to be here at 5. It's 5:30.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I have these deep questions coming at you. So,
Oh my gosh.
when you look back on your old self, has your self-perception of yourself changed since then?
I don't even it's when I talk about these things that I've done, I don't feel like I'm talking about myself. Like, who I am right now, or me. I am not my experience. I am not, and yeah, I guess I'm not my experiences. Like, I'm not what happened to me or what I did.
Yeah. And I feel like you have had so much self-growth that you're like, I'm a different human. Like, like what I was doing, how I was speaking back then is not me. I feel like you've just had so much self growth that it's kind of like, what is it called? It's called something where you, like, when you see yourself, you're like, that's not me. It's called something.
Oh, there's a word for it.
Yeah, there's a word for it. When you talk about yourself in the past, you don't feel like you're talking about yourself.
Yeah, and I don't say that in a way to, like, wash my hands off all the things I did. I definitely own up to them, and I think maybe the reason why I feel that way is because I'm at peace with it. I don't make myself wrong for it. Obviously, don't make myself right either. It's just what happened. It was just what's so. And I don't add meaning to who I am because of what I did.
Yeah. It's like you don't make it seem right, but you don't make it seem wrong. You're just like, this is what happened.
So what's funny, Ash and I got in not an argument, but we rubbed, whatever you call it, like, bumped heads. I don't necessarily believe in right or wrong. I believe that you take an action and there's a reaction. Now, whether it's right or wrong, that is a human meaning. you label what is right or wrong. That comes from us inventing,
Societal norms.
well, societal norms. Like I said, we're nothing but our word. Remember talking about integrity? We invented the word right and the word wrong. But in reality, that doesn't exist. That's a man-made creation is language.
Yeah, it all kind of stems from your morals. So like I feel like if your
But
morals,
morals wouldn't exist without language either.
but it does exist. It
Within the
exists.
world, in the realm of language. Let's
Huh.
okay. If there is no language, Kinley, is there a right and wrong?
I feel like there's a feeling of right and wrong, but you wouldn't
But
be able to identify like this feeling is right or wrong. You would probably just be like, "Ugh," like you'd probably feel a certain way. You wouldn't feel happy. You would probably feel a certain way once you do something that's wrong, but you in your brain you wouldn't be able to be like this is wrong. You would just be able to identify I don't feel good right now.
but how can you label a feeling? How do you know it's wrong without calling it wrong?
I mean, if I'm about to like throw up and shit myself, I would say that's probably not a good thing.
Who taught you that?
My body. If my body's throwing up and shitting, I'm gonna be like, hello, this isn't.
But do you
Yeah.
understand that how you're able to?
Yeah.
If words didn't exist, you wouldn't be able to explain that to me. That feeling wouldn't be there. It would be a experience, but you wouldn't be able to label it. Like for example, I did my video on anxiety. That I confused love for anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
My body experienced a feeling. I labeled it love, but we can label it whatever we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this, it's like, it's something that I literally took me 3 days to understand. So I don't blame people for listening who don't understand this. I forgot why we even got into this topic, but oh yeah, right and wrong.
Yeah.
Inherently, there is no right and wrong. But in the world that we're in right now, there is a right and wrong. I'm clear about that. I'm not saying that we should go kill people and that's not wrong. I am aware that we live in a domain of language and that we have created what right and wrong is. But in reality, when you take away all this meaning, when you take away language, there is no such thing as right or wrong. So when I take an action, I don't take an action because it's a right or wrong action. I'm like, okay, if I take this action, is it going to generate the result that I want? If it's yes, I'll take the action. If it's no, I don't.
I love shit like this. It makes me think. I'm like, I never thought of it that way.
If you study Helen Keller,
Okay.
you'll understand because she couldn't hear and she couldn't see. She didn't know what pain was until she learned language.
Hmm. Part 3 coming soon.
Helen Keller edition. Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. That's so funny. So was Ash like, girl, no, there's a right and there's a wrong.
She took it like I believe in murder and RAP and grape and like that's like no, I don't. That's not what I believe in.
So
I'm just saying. And now she gets it because she did Landmark too. Now she's like, I get it. I effing get it now. And yeah, but that was something that she just like. This girl is crazy.
that is so funny. I feel like if my partner would have been like, there's no right and wrong, I'd be like, excuse me? Like, let's talk about this. Are you okay?
Yeah, right.
So I get it. Okay, so when you post your journey, and your clips and like all of the advice on social media, would you say that's kind of like a form of therapy for you?
So I've never done therapy.
Hmm.
I did a couple sessions back when I was in rehab, but what I did was personal development and life coaching.
Mhm.
I haven't really had a good experience with therapy, so I can't say that I'm doing therapy. What I'm doing is basically what I was taught in Landmark. I am calling myself out because it does something to me when I do that. It gives me, I don't know how to explain it. It's honestly what I've just trained. I've been doing like Landmark stuff for so long that this is just how I've been conditioned. Like calling myself out gives me freedom. Being authentic is power. So the more authentic I am to more people, the more free I am. Like the more complete I feel when I'm able to acknowledge my inauthenticities.
Yeah, because a lot of people in this world are like, I'm just gonna shove it down and not acknowledge it, and they're able to move on with their life. But you have
Mine
to
too.
proceed through life by acknowledging your bad mistakes. And I think that's cool because not a lot of people think that way.
But like I'm saying, like it's not right or like I'm not right for doing this. I just get this result, which I love. And if someone doesn't want to do that, I don't make them wrong for it either. If that's how
Yeah.
you want to live your life that way. Bury things in. Don't express yourself. Don't be vulnerable. Avoid having tough conversations. If that's the life that you're happy with, then do it, you know? But this is the result that you get living that way. Are you willing to live with that cost? Because the moment you make someone wrong, they take it personal and they want to immediately, what's there, defend themselves. So I strongly believe in not making people wrong for the choices they make.
Okay. So, what if it's like something really bad? And I know you're like, Kinley, but what's bad?
Yeah.
No, but like, what if it's like bad?
Do you think that you can solve a war with more war?
No. I see where you're going with that, but can you elaborate?
I I've never had a good result when I make people wrong for what they did. Yeah, they can say I feel sorry, I feel bad, but and that doesn't solve anything.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I'm not saying like you need to call people out on their shit because obviously it's like sometimes you just got to let shit go, but like for example, like and this is you're probably going to be like, "You and Ash, oh my god," but like murderers for example, they need to be held accountable for the bad decision that they did. So, you're saying like we shouldn't be I don't think you're saying we shouldn't hold a people accountable for the bad things that they do, but you're like, I don't know, what exactly is your argument?
so my belief is that we, like for example, let's say a murderer kills someone, right? And we lock them up. Does that solve the problem?
It doesn't solve the problem of the other people out in the world, but it solves that specific problem. That person is not out in
But
the world.
it doesn't get to the root of the issue, though. We're just perfuming a casket by putting them in jail and putting them away. But in order to get to the root, to the actual like healing of things, you can only do it through love. I'm not saying don't lock these people up and don't hold them accountable, but I'm saying that the real access to a world that works is not through more wars. It's not through making people wrong. It's through love.
No, yeah, and I'm totally there with you. I guess in my brain, I'm just thinking of like certain instances where I'm like, because like, for example, I used the murderer as an example, and you were like, but it's not getting to the root cause 100%.
It's not getting to the
But
root of the matter, like what really, where all this evilness derives from.
but what like what would the root how would you fix that?
I don't know because
I
we
feel
haven't
like
done it,
there's
but clearly what we're doing now is not working.
I f-
Is it?
it's not working, but it's keeping those people off of the streets.
Yeah, but there's still murders, there's still rapes, there's that, like, if anything, it's getting worse. Homelessness is getting worse. I mean,
Yeah, this can be a whole other topic. I love
uh-huh.
this conversation. No, I think the way that you view that is very interesting.
Mhm.
That's a hot take.
Very
And I
hot take.
see it. I see it. I see
Yeah,
it. Like I
it's like
really
a
do.
hazy. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to go
Yeah.
deeper, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so what advice would you give someone who is stuck in a super toxic cycle with someone and they just are so infatuated with the person, but they are able to acknowledge this doesn't make me feel good.
Honestly, I've been that person. It's hard for me to say something because I don't think anybody could have told me anything that would have
Yeah.
made me leave.
Yeah.
I had to hit rock bottom. I had to be left. I had to take back a cheater freaking 5 times. I had to go through all that to be where I am today. But what I will say, because it's not that I woke up one morning and I had these revelations, do personal development. If you want, do the Landmark Forum. That's what worked for me. Do something to transform yourself because that was my access to it. And even while I was doing Landmark, I still couldn't let go of my ex of 8 years, 7 years. We were long distance. I still dragged her through the mud. She dragged me, or we both dragged each other. Uh, but I was able to actually heal from that breakup in a very powerful way. And that would have never been possible if I didn't do Landmark. So for me, it was Landmark. For you, it could be something else, but definitely do something that works on yourself, like your inner self. That's one thing that I would advise. That's my one piece of advice. Mm-hmm.
I like that. I do. I like that. Whenever you met Ash,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you were in that self-growth journey and you were acknowledging all of the things, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm sure like self-growth doesn't just stop. Like I'm sure you're still obviously going through it, but you posted something on social media about how you had to put your ego aside to make it work with Ash.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that?
Okay. So I want you to know that just because I've done Landmark and I do personal development, I make all these reels, does not make me a perfect human whatsoever.
Yes.
There's a certain way that I wound up being in life because of things that happened to me, and I made them mean things, and I've been working that muscle for years. So it's only natural for me that when certain situations pop up in my life, my automatic reaction and way of being is avoidant. I want to avoidant, not vulnerable, all these things that I ended up being, the bad stuff that people love to label bad. Um, they're always there for me. And I don't think they're ever going to go away. The difference between the old me and the new me is when these desires, when these emotions come up, I'm able to recognize them and have a choice. Do I choose how I ended up being in life, or do I choose who I want to be? That's the only difference, okay?
That's
Now,
big though.
what?
That's big.
Yeah, it is big.
Yeah.
But people think that people, I feel like they do personal development hoping that it's going to disappear. It doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it ever will. At least for me, it hasn't yet. It's a constant choice, just how love is. A constant choice to love yourself and choose who you want to be, not how you ended up in life. So when I first started dating Ash and we had conflict, the first time, especially the first time she broke up with me, what was automatically there was act nonchalant, don't show that you're hurt, run away, and peace. And that's exactly what I did. Exactly what I did. She broke up with me. I said, okay. We made out. I left. That's it. Cold. Very cold. But really, my heart hurt. I was like ripped into pieces, but I couldn't let her see that because that was my ego. I couldn't ask why because that was my ego. I couldn't try and tell her like, "Hey, I'm not okay with this. I want to talk about it. What's missing?" Couldn't do that because I chose in that moment, it's a split second, I chose my ego over what I really wanted. And I walked away, and I was committed to my ego. I wasn't willing to give it up at that time. And I knew that. I think the hard part about personal development is that you're aware when you're choosing. Like now I'm aware. Now I can't be like, well, I didn't know better. No, I know better. And I still chose my ego.
Ash, you hear that? I'm just kidding.
um, so I chose my ego. I went back to California, and then I decided to move to Arizona where Ash was. And we ended up dating again. Well, not yet. We were a situationship. And that was my ego again, because I really wanted her, but I couldn't tell her. And I waited until she did. That's exactly what happened. She finally broke down one day and confessed to me that she was wrong about me. She actually wants to be with me, and she was crying in the car. My ego loved that. My ego loved it. You know why? Because I was right. Ego lives in the world of right and wrong. Ego loves to be right.
That's so
Loves it.
true.
That's your ego. Another reason why I don't like the world of right and wrong. My ego loves it. Feeds on it. I feast on it. Okay.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm feasting on this because, like, I won. Yeah, she's crying to me. She's telling me she loves me and she was wrong. And that was great for my ego. And we finally date officially. And then she breaks up with me 3 months later.
Ash, girl.
I know. Toxic baby. So now, the second time she broke up with me, like I said again, I had a choice: choose my ego again,
Oh, girl.
or fight for what I want. Be like, say what I want. Be who I want to be, and the person I want to be is someone that's vulnerable, someone that stands for what they want, someone that chooses love, right? Instead of running away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I did. She was breaking up with me, and I said, no, we're going to talk about this. You're going to tell me exactly what is not working in this relationship, and I'm going to listen to you. I'm like, start now. She's like, well, this. I'm like, okay, what else? And this. Can you tell me more about that? Starts telling more. This too. I'm like, okay, great. What else? Listening. I'm like taking it all in, blah, blah, blah. She couldn't believe it. She was like, never been with someone that doesn't get defensive when someone else is telling them what was missing in the relationship. You know why? You know why I don't get defensive? I don't make it wrong. I don't make what she's telling me wrong. Because if I do, my ego loves to identify with that instantly. Now, the reason why I don't like making things right and wrong, I lose power when I'm made wrong if I make it mean that. So I was able to stand in that world, not make myself wrong, listen to her. It gives me space to actually listen to what she has to say. Because when I make it about me, that I'm wrong, I can't listen to her anymore. So I'm sitting here, tell me more about that, tell me more about that. I'm like, okay, once she said it all and was left with nothing, because I wanted her to be left with nothing. Because if I tried to talk, there's too much shit in between us. She couldn't hear me. So I needed her to get it all out. And when she was done, I said, okay, I heard you. I made sure that she understood that I heard her by saying everything that she listed. She wasn't paying attention. And I said, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to make these things that are missing in the relationship happen. That was that. And obviously I did the actions, not just about sweet talking and all these great things. No, I did everything that was missing in that relationship, and she couldn't believe it. Now, it sounds great, but I'm not going to water it down. I was scared. I was really scared because everything that I was doing in that second went against who I ended up being in this world. I did not feel good. That did not feel good doing that. And I say that very loud and clear because people always want to go with their feelings. Oh, well, this feels wrong, so I shouldn't do it. No, some of the greatest things that you're going to do are not going to feel good. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. And I felt terrible. It was horrible sitting there. I think the worst part was after, honestly, because now I'm responsible. I heard her. I have all these things to do. Am I going to get them done?
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you don't get them done, your ego is going to be like crushed because your ego is like, no, bitch, we're going to get this done.
Yeah. Well, my ego was going to be crushed because I would make myself wrong.
Oh, that too.
Ego loves right and wrong. See, the whole right and wrong thing comes from ego. That's why this world is fucked up. Excuse my French. We live in a world of right and wrong. And that's what literally, it's like the root to most evil in this world.
very interesting. The way you view things are very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I know. Trust me. It's like we can talk for hours. I
Oh my
have
God.
an interesting way of viewing life. I got it from Landmark. If you want to learn about it, go there. I didn't invent this, but a lot of their philosophies and stuff like that is from Buddhism,
Mm.
even like what's Hedonism, like India. It's a
Hin-
mix of different
Hindu?
beliefs. Yeah,
Hinduism? Yeah, I get what
which
you're meaning.
yeah, not literate in that area, but it's a bunch like Gandhi. It's a bunch of that in
Yes.
a forum. Hmm.
I love that. I love that. I've been wanting to honestly explore more of those religions and it's just like those cultures. I think it's so interesting because the
I
things that
started
they,
with Buddhism.
what'd you say?
I started getting into Buddhism.
Yeah, I wanted to get into Buddhism because I feel like the things that they stand by, their morals, like the things that they believe in, I'm like, I feel like that's more of who I am. But of course,
Yeah,
I haven't really dove into it, so I'm not sure. But from what
yeah.
I've seen, I'm like, I dig that. So honestly, I should. I should.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry making y'all stop the episode real quick to listen to me talk about my sponsors. So I am sponsored by Prozis. It is an online workout website where you can get athletic clothes, you can get high protein food, you can get foods that like aren't high protein but also have like 0 calories and they taste amazing. Guys, I don't know, it's amazing. If you guys follow my Instagram, let's be honest, or just my personal Instagram, I have posted monthly all of the boxes that they send me. They have syrups that are no sugar. They have dietary pills if you guys are wanting to go down that route. They have toppers like chia seeds. They have protein powder. They have calcium, zinc, and magnesium tablets that you can take. Amazing. Like the clothes are so amazing, top quality. Anyways, everything will be linked. Use code lesbianist10 for 10% off. They're always doing amazing deals though, so you can use their code that they have on their website, but also mine on top of it. So it's amazing. Lesbianist10 for 10% off. And if you guys are like, well, I like would love to check out your Instagram, Kinley, but can you give us the website? Sure. Prozis, Prozis. You can look them up on Instagram, Google, just whatever. I would recommend going to their Instagram because it shows all of the stuff. So let's be honest 10 for 10% off. So the next sponsor is a cute coffee shop that's actually not opened yet. They are planning on opening at the end of the summer, so it's coming up. It is called Brew Babes. Follow them on Instagram, Brew Babes. If you go to my Instagram as well, Let's Be Honest Podcast, and go to my following, I follow them as well. So if you're like, I don't know where to find them, Kinley, go to my following, look up Brew Babes, follow them. They will be making mainly coffee, but also some like tea drinks, and they'll be selling some pastries and stuff like that, some like just food options. The cool thing about this, y'all are like, Kinley, this just sounds like any other coffee shop in Austin. Let me stop you right there. Brew Babes, keyword babes. There's going to be a bunch of babes that are making your coffee in bathing suits. We love that. So whenever they open, you guys definitely got to go check them out. The location is still up in the air, but definitely follow them on Instagram. Show them love. Of course, I will keep you guys posted on the location, the grand opening, that kind of stuff. But definitely keep them in mind and check them out whenever they do open. Tell them that Let's Be Honest Podcast sent you. And if my sponsors are listening, thank you guys so much for sponsoring my video. I love you guys.
Bye. Whenever you guys started dating, did Ash ever have any uncertainties? Sorry, God, uncertainties. Is that the right word?
Yeah, uncertainties, doubts.
Doubts. Yeah, gosh, today's been a long day. Okay, of you potentially cheating on her.
Never. Never. I know she was concerned about my last ex because we were on and off forever.
Yeah.
So she was concerned that this just might be one of our off stages and that we could potentially get back together because of our history, our cycle.
Yeah.
I know that was a concern for her.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that I was going to cheat on her. It was more of like, is she going to like dump me and go back to this ex that she always goes back to?
Yeah. Which that's, yeah, I understand. I understand why she feels that. But now y'all are engaged.
Yes.
And she's your person.
Yes.
When is y'all's wedding? It's coming up, right?
October. I'm literally,
Wait, you said October?
yeah, October of this year. I know.
Are
I'm
you
in the
like,
middle of doing my dress, like finding it, trying it
oh,
on. I have a place in Utah that wants to work with me for my dress. But I'm trying some on here just in case, and then I'll be flying out to Utah to work with this bridal
yeah,
luxury dress place. I'm excited to show you guys the
yeah.
different wedding dresses they have because I'll be trying a lot of them on.
Oh, and y'all are doing long distance right now again, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been so busy, like since Ash left. I'm like, I'm gonna start a series. I'm gonna film. Hey.
Hey, keep yourself busy. I get it.
But yeah, we're long distance, but I'll be flying into Utah like probably next week because I got to get this. I guess okay. I'm such a bad girl. I know nothing about weddings. I never fantasize about weddings or a dress, and I know nothing. So I guess you're supposed to buy a dress like a year in advance. So the people there are like freaking out. They're like, you should have bought this. Like usually it takes like months to order a dress and blah blah blah. So I'm really in a crunch with getting my dress in.
That is insane. I didn't know that.
A
I'm the type
year.
of, I'm kind of like that too. I've never like imagined like my wedding and my dress and like I just, yeah, I didn't know it took that long.
A year, 6 months tops, and I'm in the 5th month. So they're kind of like, you're like really cutting it short.
Oh, that's scary. You'll get it
Yeah.
figured out. You'll figure
Yeah.
it out.
Fine.
Okay. Well, that's it. How are you feeling from being in this hot seat?
Oh, you gave me a lot of things to think about because I can never have enough content. And one of the reasons why I like doing my work right now that I'm doing on my Instagram is because I have to daily dig deeply into myself, into things I've done. Right now, it's a lot of my past, but once I'm done talking about my past, I'm going to focus on things that are more recent in my life. Because, like I said, I'm not perfect. I continue to make mistakes. I continue to shrink sometimes. And I think that personal development is a mountain with no top because the end goal isn't perfection. So I hope that my videos continue to reveal me, and I'm feeling good about it because there's so many things that we talked about, things that I haven't even thought about yet that I'm eager to think about when we're done.
Well, good. I'm happy I was able to make your little brain think of things.
Whirl.
Hopefully not think too deeply of things. But it is your content to expose yourself and talk about everything. So in a
Yeah.
good way, of course. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Sue, thank you so much for coming on for this part 2. You were in the hot seat. I really did ask. I could have asked you so much more, but I didn't. I didn't. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kinley.
Of course. And come on whenever you want. Literally, if you're like, Kinley, something else in my past, I just thought of it and I want to talk about it, literally, come on.
Okay. I will reach out to you.
Amazing. Okay, so for my listeners, I post every Wednesday. I have some cool stuff coming up. Really exciting. Don't want to give it away, but definitely stay tuned. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye.